gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Beat the Bookie. I'm your host, Sean Scott, and we got a great show planned for you guys today. The last time I sat in this seat, I had one of the best runs in show history, and I'm back to continue that hot streak. But before we get to this week's picks, let's look back at my guy Mike Adzema's picks. He had quite the showing, which, as I understand now, makes him the winningest host in Beat the Bookie history. Give it up to Mike, but it's time to beat the bookie again, and we start with games of the week. First up, game of the week, we got a top three showdown in the Big 12, Kansas and Baylor. I like the Bears as a 2-point home favorite. Everyone's been waiting for this team to slip up, but the Bears keep covering, going 11-4 against the spread in the new year. The potential injury with Macy O'Teague worries me a little bit, but 2 points is such a small number. This game, if it's close down the stretch, Baylor will probably hit some free throws. I'm putting $15 here on Baylor. And now we go out to the Pac-12, where I love Arizona against Oregon. The Wildcats just now getting back on people's radars, back into the top 25. But I think this is the best team in the conference, and it has been. The BPI shows Arizona is a top 10 team at home. I think they cover this 4.5 points easily. Let's put another $15 on Arizona. To finish up big games, let's stick out west for Byu and Gonzaga. Both these teams have an electric offense. The Zags average close to 89 points, and BYU has the fifth best team by offensive efficiency, according to Kim Pom. Meanwhile, BYU's gotten hot recently. They love to shoot the three, so not sure really like the value on the spread either side. The over-under, though, is at 159, and Gonzaga games have hit the over 79% of the time. I know 159 is a lot of points, but I'll still take the over at just $5. But now we get to the fun stuff, my picks of the week, and I'm starting in the Big East, where Providence has been hot this month. They've gotten back in the NCAA tournament conversation, and the trend this year has been when an unranked team is favored over a ranked team, the unranked team usually wins and covers, and I'm banking on that trend to continue today. $10 on the Friars to cover a 1.5 point spread versus Marquette at home. Death, taxes, and fading Kennesaw State. There aren't many givens in life, but these are a few of them. Kennesaw State is a meager 1-24 on the season, covering just about 27% of its games. Yes, 15.5 points looks like a lot, but the Owls are that bad, trust me. $10 here as well on Jacksonville. But for my lock of the week, we head to the Southern Conference for a classic Palmetto State rivalry, Furman and Wofford. Wofford no longer has Fletcher McGee, one of the best shooters in college basketball history. Meanwhile, Furman has one of the best players I can assure you, you've never heard of. His name, Jordan Lyons. He is a beast out there. Yes, Wofford beat Furman a few weeks back, but that's why I love this pick all the more. Timmons Arena in Greenville will be rocking it for a revenge spot. Look for my sister's alma mater and the Paladins to cover the 8.5 point spread. $20 there. Go Dins. We're wrapping up the show now, but before we go, a couple more picks for you guys. Let's go right to my dog of the week. I like Duquesne plus 14 against Dayton. Remember, the Dukes were one of the last unbeatens this season, and they continue to play pretty well in the Atlantic 10. Dayton leading the conference, though. They get everybody's best shot, and while the Flyers are good, they haven't beaten anyone by more than 14 in the last month. I like that to continue as well. $10 on Duquesne, keeping it just close enough. And for the last $5, let's sprinkle in a little parlay. I mentioned how much I love Arizona during big games, so I will roll with the Wildcats money line. I also like Georgetown, who is somehow an underdog versus the worst team in the Big East in DePaul. Don't really get that one. I like the Hoyas plus the points, especially if either Omer Yurtseven or Mac McClung plays. And finally, I like Pepperdine as well in the first half alone, plus 4 there. San Francisco just had a tough loss to Gonzaga 48 hours ago. Now they have to quickly turn around for this kind of game. That just screams emotional letdown to me. The Dons might win the game, but I don't think they will lead at the half. $5 on this parlay returns $27.33. That's pretty solid there. So we toured the country today with money from the mighty Big 12, Pac-12, and Big East, all the way down to the tiny Atlantic Sun, with the big lock being the Furman Paladins over Wofford. And that will do it for this week's episode of Beat the Bookie. I'm your host, Sean Scott. Now let's go win some money, ladies and gentlemen.